Ever wonder if your automatic transmission's slowly dying, and you don't even know it yet? Because trust me, most drivers don't. I had this one guy come into the shop thinking his car just felt a little off. No weird sounds, no warning lights, just a gut feeling. Turns out he'd been towing with the wrong gear, never changed the fluid, and cooked the whole thing without even realizing it. I've been wrenching on cars for over a decade, and what blows my mind is how often folks kill their automatics with simple mistakes that take seconds to avoid. I'm talking stuff your car's owner's manual screams about, but no one reads. In this video, we're going from number 17 all the way down to the biggest, baddest, most wallet-destroying mistake at number 1. And trust me, you do not want to be the person who learns that one the hard way. Killing mistakes that fry your internals. The number 1 habit that silently destroys your torque converter. But here's the kicker. With the right know-how and a few mechanic-approved tips, you can dodge these costly screw-ups and keep your automatic running smooth for miles. No shop bill, no fancy tools, just real-world advice that works. And a tip in point number 2 that most mechanics don't even tell you, but it's a total game changer for keeping your trans alive. So hit subscribe, stick with me, and let's save your transmission from a slow, expensive death, starting right now. Mistake No. 17. Riding the brakes downhill. You ever smell that weird burning on a steep slope and think, oh, something's cooking? That's your brake pads crying for help. I had a customer with a Ford Explorer who rode their brakes all the way down a hill in Yosemite. By the time they got to the bottom, their rotors were warped and the calipers were practically smoking. That constant pressure builds heat, and without proper modulation, it wrecks the integrity of the whole braking system. You're not just risking fade, you're hammering your automatic transmission too, especially if the gearbox is downshifting to help. Instead, use engine braking. Drop a gear, let the hydraulic system do the work, and ease off those brakes to prevent overheating, warping, and eventual failure. Trust me, I've seen enough glowing red discs and lines boiled dry to know when someone ignored the signs. If you lose grip, you lose control, and at that point, your ABS and stability systems can't save you. Keep your downhill speed in check with gentle inputs. It reduces friction, protects your fluid, and keeps your braking responsiveness sharp when it really counts. Mistake No. 16. Towing in the wrong gear or without tow mode. Last summer, a guy rolled into the shop with his SUV smelling like burnt toast. He just pulled a trailer up a steep incline through the mountains without using tow mode. His transmission fluid was cooked, his torque converter had started slipping, and the drivetrain was under so much strain I'm amazed it didn't fall apart mid-climb. That constant load pushed the RPM through the roof and triggered serious overheating, all because he left it in overdrive thinking it'd figure it out. Here's the fix. Before you haul anything heavy, check your selector and shift out of overdrive. Use that tow/haul button if your automatic has one. It adjusts gear ratios and cooling logic to handle the extra weight and resistance. You're pulling way more than usual, so give your power and control systems a break. Otherwise, expect heat, slipping, and premature failure in the transmission lines. Towing without the right setup isn't just risky, it's a slow way to kill your car. Mistake No. 15. Using aftermarket transmission coolers incorrectly. A guy once brought in his truck after trying to add an auxiliary transmission cooler, just like the forums said. Problem was, he mounted it in a terrible placement spot, zero airflow, and didn't use the right fittings or clamp setup. Within a week, he had a slow leak, low fluid, and his gear shifts felt like a slap from a frying pan. Turns out, he didn't account for pressure loss in the lines, and the mismatched hose setup actually restricted flow instead of improving it. If you're adding a cooler, don't just plug and play. Check compatibility, especially with the radiator and bypass routing. Make sure the fan, if you're running one, pulls enough air, and the return line isn't fighting temperature buildup. A bad install can cause more damage than good, seen it plenty. Use proper mount points, seal everything tight to prevent failure, and don't cheap out on parts. Your automatic transmission isn't the place to experiment with backyard modification. Mistake No. 14. Revving the engine in park or neutral for too long. I had a Camaro roll in last month with noisy lifters and weird vibration at idle. Owner said he liked to wake it up by revving the engine in park every morning, just holding the throttle for fun. Problem is, when you do that before full warm-up, you're slamming high RPM through cold oil, loose bearings, and dry rings. That kind of cold friction creates extra wear on your internals, not to mention unneeded stress on the mounts, gaskets, and timing components. And if you're in neutral doing the same thing, your automatic transmission isn't safe either. There's less fluid movement, and the spike in pressure can mess with seals and create heat without proper airflow or fan engagement. I've even seen early signs of overheating and idle imbalance from guys doing this daily. Want to warm your engine up? Let it idle calmly. Don't fake a combustion party under the hood. Mistake No. 13. Using cheap or incorrect transmission fluid. A guy came in with a rough shifting Jeep, said he just changed his fluid on the cheap. Turns out he dumped in a universal mix with the wrong viscosity and zero compatibility with his automatic transmission. The additives were wrong, lubrication broke down fast, and his clutch packs were starting to slip. We pulled the transmission pan and found burnt fluid, metal flakes, and early signs of failure from pure friction and poor cooling. Saving $20 on a jug cost him a $2,500 rebuild. Here's what we gotta do. Always use the manufacturer-specified synthetic fluid. Don't guess. It keeps pressure balanced, supports clean ship timing, and protects vital gears, seals, and the torque converter. A proper fluid helps control temperature, extends lifespan, and keeps your drivetrain in top performance. And don't forget the filter during maintenance. Fluid contamination kills even the best transmission if you ignore the basics. Mistake No. 12. Failing to service the transmission filter, not just fluid. A customer once came in with sluggish shift response in his Dodge Charger. He'd been religious about changing the fluid, but never touched the filter. We dropped the pan and found it packed with sludge, metal shavings, and enough debris to block a sewer line. The clogged pickup starved the system of proper lubrication, causing low pressure, overheating, and premature wear on the valve body. His torque converter was overworked, and the delayed shifts were just the start of a slow-motion failure. Here's the kicker. The $12 filter could have saved him thousands in damage. When you skip this part of maintenance, you're letting contamination cycle through the gears, hitting the seals, gasket, and every internal surface with microscopic sandpaper. Over time, it wrecks cooling, increases friction, and leads to bypass issues that throw off pressure balance. So guess, replace the filter. Don't just top off and pray. Mistake No. 11. Shifting to reverse too quickly after starting car. I had a guy in the Civic that thumped into reverse like it owed him money. First thing in the morning, he'd start the car and slam the shifter back before the fluid even had a chance to move. The pump hadn't built enough pressure, the gears weren't fully lubed, and the torque converter was still waking up. That cold startup rush caused a nasty hard shift, grinding down the bearings and adding unnecessary wear on the drivetrain. Here's the fix. After starting, let the RPM settle at idle for a few seconds so the lubrication can reach all the internal parts. The transmission pan holds the fluid, but it needs a few moments to circulate and heat up. Cold movement creates tight friction, weak engagement, and stress on seals that weren't designed for instant impact. Trust me, that extra 10 seconds can save you from long-term damage, leaks, and transmission temperature spikes. Mistake No. 10. Overlooking cooling system maintenance. Last month, a guy brought in his Altima with rising temperature and rough shifting. Turns out his cooling system was gunked up, zero maintenance, nasty buildup, and a cracked reservoir leaking all over the place. His coolant was more rust than liquid, the thermostat was stuck, and the fan wasn't kicking in when it should. That backed up pressure toasted his seals and nearly melted the pump, putting both the engine and automatic transmission at risk of total failure. Here's what most folks miss. Your transmission usually shares the radiator through a heat exchanger, meaning bad flow hurts both your gears and lubrication. If the fluid gets too hot, you lose efficiency, fry the torque converter, and end up with serious damage. Inspect the hoses, flush regularly, and keep an eye out for corrosion or even a small leak. It doesn't take much to ruin a perfectly good cooling loop. Mistake No. 9. Driving too fast in low gear, L or 1/2. I had a guy roast his Civic's valve body trying to muscle up the mountains in low gear, pedal mashed, engine screaming. He thought using L meant more power, but he just cranked the RPM into over-rev territory. That kind of abuse cooks fluid, melts pistons under extreme pressure, and overloads the drivetrain. His automatic couldn't keep up with the constant strain, and the torque converter looked like it had survived a bar fight. Here's the real deal. Low gears are for climb and control, not flying down the freeway. Using manual mode or messing with the selector too aggressively can cause bad ship timing, poor lubrication, and nasty friction between your gears. Keep an eye on your speed and listen to the engine. If it's howling, you're making heat, not horsepower. Use the right gear for the job, and don't treat first like it's launch control. Mistake No. 8. Letting car idle in gear on inclines without handbrake. I had a Subaru roll into my shop last winter, literally. The guy left it idle in gear on a slight incline, no handbrake. Figured the brakes and automatic transmission would hold. Well, the parking bulb took the full strain, and eventually it cracked. When that little part failed, his car rolled into a fence. That kind of rollback might seem small, but the tension on the drivetrain, brake pads, and seals leads to creeping wear and even fluid leaks. If you're stopped on a slope, don't trust just the mount or the torque hold. Always pull the handbrake. That's what it's there for. Otherwise, your engagement points heat up, build pressure, and eventually cause damage. I've seen people toast their control systems by thinking neutral is safe or D+ foot on the brake is good enough. It's not. Use the stop tools your car gave you. Don't gamble with safety, creep, or heat. Mistake No. 7. Using cruise control in hilly or snowy terrain. I had a customer nearly slide off a mountain pass last January. He was cruising along with cruise control on, totally ignoring the snowy terrain and sharp incline ahead. His car started slipping, the RPM jumped, and instead of easing back, the system dumped more throttle, trying to hold speed. That sudden torque increase made his wheels spin out, killing traction and forcing a sketchy recovery. Skidding on an icy curve while your drivetrain fights to climb is no joke. Cruise control isn't smart enough to read road conditions or account for loss of stability. In hills or icy patches, it'll force random downshifts, delay braking, and throw off your control when you need quick reaction time. I always tell folks, disengage cruise when the terrain gets tricky. Your automatic transmission and gears weren't built for blind engagement under sketchy traction. Keep your power in check and manage the engine yourself, especially when the weather's out to get you. Mistake No. 6. Ignoring software updates for your transmission. Last week, a customer with a newer Hyundai came in complaining about random hesitation and sloppy shifting between gears. The kicker? No mechanical issue. His transmission control module was still running outdated firmware. One scan tool check later and bam! 3 missed software updates affecting adaptation, throttle mapping, and torque control. That kind of delay in reprogramming your transmission can cause serious drivability issues, from signal misfires to annoying responsiveness problems under load. These days, your ECU and transmission module work hand in hand. Ignoring updates means the system can't adjust calibration for new driving patterns, leading to extra wear, inconsistent control, and slower shift logic. I've even seen bugs cause full gear delay in cold weather. Ask your mechanic to check for updates during routine maintenance. A quick reset might give your automatic gearbox the smoothness and smarts it's been missing. Mistake No. 5. Driving in sport mode all the time. I had a customer who loved the race car feel in his Accord and kept it locked in sport mode 24/7. Felt fast, sure, but his transmission was fried by 70 miles. That mode cranks up the RPM, holds gears longer, and keeps the torque high, which feels good, until you're dealing with early wear from non-stop kickdown, poor efficiency, and extra stress on the drivetrain. His engine temps were rising and fuel consumption. Brutal. Sport mode isn't meant for grocery runs. It sharpens throttle response and boosts performance, but it also delays shifting, raises temperature, and pushes your automatic calibration into aggressive territory. Over time, the constant load and aggressive driving pattern can throw off control, reduce responsiveness, and burn through your fluid faster. If it's your daily habit, give the poor thing a break. Switch to normal for regular drives, and save sport for when the road really calls for it. Mistake No. 4. Not warming up the car in cold weather. A couple months ago, a guy brought his RAV4 in with jerky shifting and slow response during cold mornings. Turns out he was jumping in and driving off immediately in freezing weather. No warm-up, no idle time, just hit the gas and go. Problem was, the fluid in both the engine and transmission was still thick, and the pump hadn't built enough pressure for proper circulation. That led to serious friction, worn seals, and premature wear on everything from the valve body to the drivetrain. If you're not giving your automatic the chance to warm up, you're risking metal parts grinding with minimal lubrication, delayed RPM control, and real hesitation at every stop sign. I recommend letting it idle for at least 30 seconds to a minute during a startup, especially when temps are low. It helps get that torque moving smoothly, improves efficiency, reduces resistance, and protects your internal components from long-term damage. Think of it as giving your car a chance to stretch before the sprint. Mistake No. 3. Switching to park while moving. I've seen more transmission disasters from this one hazard than almost anything else. Last month, a guy forced his Toyota into park while still rolling. Just a tiny grinding noise at first. 2 days later, snap. The parking pole shattered and his car unexpectedly rolled into a curb. That little metal component isn't built to lock a moving vehicle. It's meant to secure it when stationary. Stress it enough, and you'll be staring at repair costs that'll make your wallet cry. Here's the fix, full stop. Every time. I don't care if you're in a rush or stuck in traffic. Avoid the temptation to engage park early. Your shift linkage, gear teeth, and output shaft will thank you. And if you hear the grinding noise, too late, damage is already brewing. Trust me, I've rebuilt enough rotating components to know. This mechanism hates sudden abuse. Save yourself the risk and just wait. Mistake No. 2. Turning off the car before shifting to park. Last week, a customer rolled into my shop with a clunk that sounded like loose change in a washing machine. Turns out, they'd been turning off their Honda before shifting to park for months. That clunk? Their torque converter screaming for mercy. See, when you kill the engine in drive or neutral, the transmission stays under tension like a coiled spring. That input shaft doesn't just magically disengage. It strains against parked gears until something gives. Here's the safety dance. Shift, park, then turn off. No exceptions. Your key fob won't melt if you wait that extra second. Modern cars have safety features to block this, but I've still seen lock pins bent like paper clips from forced ignition cycles. And if your parking pole fails because of this, that's how cars end up in ponds. Pro tip: if your car lets you remove the key without being in park, get that safety feature checked ASAP. That's an accident waiting to happen. Mistake No. 1. Not warming up the car in cold weather. Let me tell you about the Subaru that came in last winter sounding like a coffee grinder full of marbles. Owner swore he'd done nothing wrong, just fired it up and went. But here's the truth. That thickened fluid was still moving like molasses when he hit the gas. Cold mornings turned your transmission fluid into syrup, creating hydraulic pressure that would make a powerlifter wince. Without proper warm-up time, you're forcing metal components to grind through sluggish shifts with barely any protective lubrication. The fix? Show your car some love. On those overnight sitting frosty days, give it just 60 seconds of idle time, enough for circulating fluid to reach optimal performance temp. That brief pause prevents premature aging from thermal stress and saves you from rough idling that murders fuel efficiency. Trust me, your delayed response issues will vanish faster than hot coffee in a mechanic's shop. Conclusion: alright folks, those are the big mistakes you really want to avoid when driving and maintaining your automatic car. From riding your brakes downhill to skipping transmission filter changes, each little slip-up chips away at your vehicle's lifespan and performance. Your automatic transmission is the heart of your ride's smoothness. Treat it right with proper warm-ups, the correct fluids, and smart driving habits. Remember, a few simple changes can save you thousands in repairs and keep your car running like new for years. So next time you hit the road, think like a mechanic. Respect your transmission, listen to your car's cues, and don't let bad habits sneak up on you. If you found these tips helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more pro advice, and drop a comment with your worst transmission mistake or question. Drive safe and see you next time.